One thing I have noticed about the Mdickie universe that everyone seems to ignore is the economy. Now, I know that sounds incredibly boring compared to the zombies, world wars, and all the other crazy things these games are known for. However, the more I looked into it, the more I started to realize that something just wasn't quite right here. Because despite the fact that many of these cities appeared normal and functional, a lot of things make no semblance of sense. From the prices of the goods and commodities we can find, to the city's housing situation, and to the way wealth is distributed throughout these worlds. In these games, becoming a millionaire or accumulating wealth is surprisingly easy. And yet, despite this, we see people living in trailers, sharing homes with multiple strangers, and in some cases even sleeping on the streets. Which raises an interesting question. If all this money exists, then how come people are so poor? How come even when you have wealth, finding things to spend it on becomes hard? Is the Mdickie economy actually broken? And if so, was it made this way intentionally or unintentionally? Well, to answer these questions, we must first understand the reality of the Mdickie economy itself. Now, to understand why the Mdickie economy might be broken, we first need to look at what the economic landscape actually looks like. And the first thing you will notice is that many of the prices we encounter throughout these games are absurdly cheap. For example, a video recorder in the Mdickie universe costs roughly $59. Now compare that to real life prices, where a similar equipment can cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the quality. And this isn't an isolated example. Many of the goods we find throughout these games are sold for prices that seem unusually low when compared to their real world equivalents. And at first, this might sound like a good thing. After all, who wouldn't want cheaper products? But the problem is that these low prices don't seem to match the reality of the world around them. Because despite how affordable many of these goods appear to be, the average citizen doesn't seem particularly wealthy. We still encounter people living in unfavorable conditions. We still encounter homeless individuals, and we still see multiple people being forced to share homes as a result of housing being in short supply, which creates a strange contradiction of sorts. If goods are so cheap, why does it feel like so many people are struggling financially? And if money is supposedly abundant, enough for ordinary people like our character to become millionaires, then why doesn't that wealth seem to translate into a better quality of life for the people around them? The more you look at it, the more it begins to feel like something beneath the surface of the Mdickie economy isn't functioning the way it should. And unfortunately, the strange prices are only the beginning. The strange prices are not the only thing that stands out about the Mdickie economy, because when you begin examining the living conditions of its citizens, an entirely different problem starts to emerge. As stated before, throughout many of these games, housing appears to be in surprisingly short supply. We often see multiple people sharing homes, living in trailers, or even having no permanent place to live at all. And this is strange because if the economy is truly as prosperous as it appears on the surface, then we should expect the opposite. We should expect to see cities expanding, new homes being built, and see infrastructure gradually improving over time. Yet many of these cities seem trapped in the exact same state year after year. The population continues to grow, but the available housing rarely appears to grow alongside it. As a result, people are forced into overcrowded homes, temporary accommodation, or are left without anywhere to stay at all. And when you combine this with the unusual cheap prices we discussed earlier, a worrying pattern starts to emerge, because this no longer looks like a city that's simply poor. It looks like a city that has stopped developing altogether. So now when you put all of these observations together, it becomes difficult to dismiss them as simple coincidences, because they all seem to point towards a much larger issue affecting the economy as a whole. And while we may never know what really caused these economical problems, I actually have a theory that could potentially explain what happened here. One possible explanation for this situation might be the actions of powerful financial elites. Now, I know this sounds like the beginning of some conspiracy theory, but when you actually think about it, it isn't entirely impossible. Because throughout many Mdickie games, we constantly encounter powerful business owners, wealthy promoters, and other influential figures who seem to possess far more wealth or power than the average citizen. And if a major economic crisis had occurred at some point in the past, these individuals would have been in the perfect position to benefit from it. Because when economies begin to struggle, smaller businesses often fail first, local competitors disappear, property value falls, and desperate people become willing to work for far less than they normally would. And for ordinary citizens, this could be devastating. But for those who already possess large amounts of wealth, it can become an opportunity. An opportunity to purchase land, acquire struggling businesses, and kill off competitors who can no longer afford to stay afloat. And over time, this would allow more and more wealth to become concentrated in the hands of fewer and fewer people, which could explain why we see such a strange contradiction throughout this world. Because while money certainly exists within the Mdickie universe, it may simply not be reaching the people who need it the most. Instead, flowing and becoming trapped within the hands of a small group of individuals who continue to grow richer, while everyone else is forced to adapt to increasingly poor living conditions. So the economic crisis or stagnation we see in this world might just be as a result of good old capitalism. Greedy elites who do what they do best, making profit by any means necessary, be it ethical or not. And if so, this would actually make this world not so different from ours. Oh my god, what the fuck, what the hell? Oh god, why is it getting harder and harder to breathe? Question of the day, why is it getting harder and harder to read this fucking script? Is my health deteriorating or am I just getting lazy? I guess we are never going to know. I hope it's the latter anyway. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing. I hope you enjoyed the theory. Next theory is going to be really good and dark. I don't know how I'm going to handle it. Spoiler alert is dark theory iceberg or something. I'm going to gather various dark theories I can find online and come up with stuff and put it in an iceberg. Which one is iceberg? Fuck. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a smiley day. Because when you begin examining the living conditions of his oh my god, we still encounter people living in unfavorably, oh my god, we still